Okay, so Jeff is signing back in.
Rebecca, I'm here. Bill.
Okay, Bill, thank you. I did just see that. Jeff should be here momentarily, and then we can start. Here he is. Okay.
Thank you.
Brian, when you are ready.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Thank
In
you.
that case, and what is says the 29th, right? Right.
Mhm.
I would like to officially call to order the Tuesday, September 29, 2020 meeting of the Bolton Conservation Commission. And pursuant to Governor Baker's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this public meeting of the Bolton Conservation Commission is being conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but the public can access this meeting while in progress via Zoom video. Members of the public attending this meeting virtually will be allowed to make comments if they wish to do so during this portion of the hearing designated for public comment by telephone, cell phone, or personal computer using Zoom. That said, as always, we will start with our traditional roll call, and I am Brian Barabee.
I'm Jeff Bryan.
Emily Winter.
Bill Payne.
Rebecca Longwall.
Perfect. All right. First up this evening, the Bolton Conservation Commission will now open a public hearing regarding a notice of intent of applicability under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and under the Bolton Wetland Bylaw, Chapter 233, regarding the proposed construction of a single-family house, well, driveway, septic system, and site grading to be located at Lot 3, Long Hill Road, map 4D, parcel 102. Rebecca, do we have someone here presenting for the applicant?
We do. We have the applicant and their representative. As just another housekeeping item, as I unmute you and as your item comes up, whoever is unmuted, if you know there's someone else on the meeting, whether it's your spouse or your representative who I haven't let in yet, just note that before you're providing your summary so that I can be sure that they're able to communicate as well. But Chris or Jim, would you like to give a brief summary to the board?
Sure. I'd love to go ahead. As you mentioned, Jim Housekeeper, the owner of the property, is on with us here, so certainly that he might be able to answer would be great. Yeah, if you remember 2 or 3 meetings ago, we were in for a certificate of compliance on this property as the plan that had been approved by the commission previously never got executed and none of the work got completed. So you guys obviously signed off on that. And this is the revised plan by the new owner. I can't really point at the screen, but you can see that the amount of buffer zone work is really limited to some grading area, correct, right in there, that is required for the septic system. The original plan actually had the driveway wrapping around the system on that same side, and all of that work was in the buffer zone. So we've moved the driveway to the other side of the system, up a little further up the road, and then going up to the house. So the driveway is now completely outside of the buffer zone. Really, the only work in the buffer zone is that grading. The owner and I have both spoken with and met with the former DPW director and the tree warden to discuss the entrance. And I realize it's kind of out of the buffer zone, but I want you guys to be aware of what we're doing there. We did propose a swale and culvert located on the property side of the project to catch any flow coming down the hill and prevent it from going out into the road and directing it down the side of the property along the road, but on the property side of the road. Additionally, we put in another small culvert with a couple of stone pits to allow for a place for the water to go to get underneath the driveway, so we didn't create a dam with the driveway. There are several trees that are documented on the plan there that the tree warden wanted us to do everything we could to save, and I think we've accomplished that. I think this driveway can get put in without taking out any large diameter trees at all. There'll be a little bit of the street wall that'll have to get altered. Obviously, an opening made for the driveway to come through. But again, all that stuff is outside the buffer zone. But I wanted you to know what we're proposing. You have a erosion control barrier. We actually wrap it not just in the 100-foot buffer zone, but all the way up to the driveway on the left-hand side, and then back up all the way up to the house area on the north side of the property, because there'll be some work done for the septic system line, the piping, and as well for a footing drain from the building. That stuff's out of the buffer zone, but we're going to be kind of close to it in a couple of spots, so we just ran the erosion controls the whole way. It's a somewhat steep slope. It's not very steep, but it's steep, and we certainly want to make sure the whole area is protected. Okay. That about covers everything. Is there anything else, Jim, that I may have left out?
No, you did a great job, Chris. Thank you.
Questions?
Yeah, can I ask Rebecca, did we get a DEP file number for this one?
We did. It is number, oh, I apologize, 1 second. 112692 or 0692 actually.
Okay. I'm trying to think. I seem to remember this location the first time we approved it. I do appreciate that you've taken a lot out of the buffer zone. I guess I do remember the driveway the original proposed driveway went through it. Just trying to look. So it's basically just the grading on the back end of that septic, and just
Yes.
After that grades out, does it drop down significantly from there? I'm trying to remember what the property was like. Is that a relatively big drop off?
I think it's a relatively level area here, if I'm remembering correctly. I mean, into this area towards the roadway, and then it does in fact drop off.
And that's where, okay.
Right.
Do any members of the commission have any initial questions, comments, or thoughts?
My only comment, I guess, regarding the septic work would be, obviously stockpiling of materials, dirt within the limit of work, and erosion control barrier.
Right.
Although it looks, yeah. I guess, yeah, so during excavation for the septic, I'm just looking at the grading plan here and it looks like we're actually bringing the grade. I'm sorry, I can't see those numbers, but are we bringing the grade up?
Yeah, so the
It's
The
bringing the grade
system-
up, right? Yeah. But initially there's going to be excavation for the septic. So my only concern would be that any soil removed for that septic system to go in just stays within the limit of work and isn't outside of that area.
Sure. The erosion control barrier on the north side of the system there in the buffer zone is relatively tight to the toe of the proposed slope. So in all reality, there really isn't going to be a viable storage area in the buffer zone. Everything would have to be stored uphill from the system in the driveway area. So it really would not be advantageous for them to store it anywhere down in the buffer zone. And it should all stay obviously inside the erosion control area, being the limit of work.
Go ahead.
So your limit of work is your erosion control barrier. That's what you're
Yes.
defining. Okay.
Yes.
My other question is just trying to touch upon any potential work inside the buffer area. I see there's an opening here, and I recall last time that's why the driveway was located a little bit further down gradient. Are you proposing to put in and sort of fill that gap and do a trade-off there with the stone wall? Again, the only reason why I ask is it's outside of the buffer zone, but I'm looking outside of the limit of work, and I want to just be aware of encompassing that work if it's going to be done. If not,
So-
that's a moot point.
I don't, excuse me for interrupting. I don't know how to raise my hand on Zoom. I'm a Teams guy.
That's okay.
But to answer your question, what I'm kind of hoping to do is put a really nice wooden farmer's gate there
Oh, okay.
in that location. Strictly to be, there's no driveway or anything like that there. I just think it would look nice.
Mhm.
And with the number of, our house number 126, I believe.
Okay.
I would rather not do any work there and just leave that whole area alone and just have maybe a couple of granite posts put in and having a nice wood, something that looks nice right on the road. So that's my plans anyway,
Okay.
if it's okay with you guys.
Rebecca, is there anybody here from the public to comment on this one this evening?
Let me see. I have no chat, but I believe I have a hand raised. So we will see. Okay, Kate Bagley. Okay.
Yeah.
Kate, I'm unable to hear you for some reason. So if you are able, can you type your question into the chat box? You should be able to find it at the bottom of your screen. Towards the middle, there should be a chat function.
Sometimes you have to run your cursor over the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
That little menu come up.
Okay, I'm gonna try and unmute her one more time.
Can you hear us now?
Yes. Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes.
All right, so hi, I'm Kate. My husband Eric is with me here as well. We are the abutters at 96 Long Hill Road. And I know we had been to the previous meeting for the planning when the driveway was on the other side in the buffer zone. So I have a couple questions, but obviously our concern is that that lot slopes down into our front field, which is our growing field for our farm. So the questions I have are on the proposed erosion control barrier. What is that barrier going to consist of?
It is currently proposed on their plans as silt fence and wattle.
So in the long term though, because it's already sloped down and you're talking about doing further grading to that area down into the wetlands, is there any mitigation other than just grading that's going to happen in terms of planting or anything like that?
We don't want our front field to be flooded in the event that
The water could,
in the event that this grading up causes that.
Right.
That sort of cut to the chase. That's our concern.
Right. None of the work being proposed in the buffer zone specifically is impervious, meaning it's going to be loam and seed and grass, and it's going to work like any other grass surface does. The driveway, yeah, that's going to be an impervious surface, and that's certainly going to produce, there'll be some water coming down there, and it's going to come downhill. But that's the purpose of the drainage that we show down at the end of the driveway, is to mitigate that from going out into the road and causing trouble in the road, as was requested by the DPW. None of the water that we have on this site should affect your property going to the north. It's really a couple of 100 feet before we even get to your property line, or at least 100 feet. And we're not doing any grading anywhere near that. So there should be nothing that we're doing here that would affect your property at all.
okay. And Chris, you had mentioned one of those was a culvert and the other was a, what was the other?
Is it like a dry well?
They're both culverts underneath the driveway.
Okay.
One on the property side is a stone trench. It's about 2 feet wide, maybe I think 2 feet deep. I forget right off the top of my head. But that's going to collect water that comes down the property or off the driveway and direct it to keep it from going in the road. The other culvert really is just going to have a couple of stone pits on either side to act as a collection point. We don't want to do any trenching there, because any kind of trenches we build there is going to wipe out all the trees. And
Right.
the tree warden doesn't want us doing that. So that's more of a preventative measure to make sure that we don't really create a dam, if you will, with our driveway and stop the water from going down the gutter and pushing it out into the road. They don't want it going out in the road.
Okay. Yeah, no, I mean, we're very happy to see the driveway move to the other side and out of the buffer zone compared to the first plan. So that mitigates a lot of concerns we had the first go around.
Sure. And that's a different situation. Sure.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I
I think that was it. Those are the only questions. Thank you.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah, you.
Hey,
Hopefully we'll meet in person.
Looking forward to it, Jim.
I think I met your mother. I drove up to your farm one day and introduced myself.
Yep, she's here as well. So.
And I love the chickens.
Yes, you can have them.
Awesome. For the eggs.
So the bag piece brought up a good point, though, in terms of another detail that the Conservation Commission typically requests information, and that is removal of the trees over 6 inches in diameter within the buffer or adjacent upland resource area. Do you happen to have that calculation or that amount?
I do not.
Okay.
There'll be a few trees for sure that in that buffer zone that will have to come down. I
Sure.
know the whole lot there is pretty wooded, so I'm sure there's a few trees. I can't really comment on how many though.
Okay.
Quite a few are going to have to come down just for the system alone.
Right.
The buffer zone for the grading, there'll be some there too. You can see there's a few shown. Clearly, we must have at some point shot the location of a couple of trees out there.
Yep.
So looking at that, I'd say there are at least 3 or 4 anyways.
Yeah. So, and the commission does have obviously the ability to condition and require plantings since you're removing those, if they so choose, but that again is up to the commission to make that determination.
Right. Any
And then-
plantings along the required breakout slope, basically the steep slope that we show proposed, would have to be some kind of low-lying shrubs or something. You really can't plant trees that close to the system and expect them to be all right or not.
Right, so I'm saying on the site, not necessarily
Oh, okay.
in that exact spot,
Right.
because I understand the infrastructure would then be,
Right. Okay.
I can't think of the term right now, but yes.
Any
Oh,
additional?
Emily can't unmute herself. Hold on. I think I
Sorry.
just did it. That's okay.
I just would like to request that whatever plantings are put in place are native. These at the toe of the slope, just native shrubs
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yep.
that come through.
Yes.
Sorry, can you guys
Sweet.
hear that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so I was just saying that whatever low-lying shrubs are planned to be planted at the toe of the slope would be native species, especially in the buffer. I know I guess we can only request for the buffer zone, Rebecca, or in general?
Unless there is area outside that's going to adversely impact the resource area, but on this particular site, I think that's really the main disturbance area and the area that you would be mitigating anyways.
Sure, okay.
Can I ask a quick question about the rules and regulations of Bolton? If it have a lot of wildflower seeds, am I allowed to plant those outside the rock wall, between the rock wall and the road? I kind of want to have this, rather than poison ivy that's there right now?
That would be a great question for DPW.
Okay.
If it falls within the commission's jurisdiction, then that would be a point. I don't think here it does, but that would be something just to check with DPW on, being aware that they mow the roadsides and do various things. And it would be good to communicate that to them.
Okay.
But I don't think that'd be a significant issue for them.
All right. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any additional questions from the public here this evening?
I see no raised hands.
Okay. Commission members, any additional questions? Or anybody unfamiliar with this site? Anybody that wants to see this site? Any additional things you'd like to see in the order of conditions, please?
No one.
Oh, Brian, I'm all set. I walked the site
Okay.
a while ago.
Emily, Jeff.
All right.
I'm good with what we've seen here, to tell you the truth.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely think it's an improvement over what the plans were before.
I agree.
All right. In that case, I'd like to make a motion that we close the public hearing for 3 Long Hill Road, map 4D, parcel 102. Do I hear a second?
Is everyone muted again?
Second,
Aha. Okay. All those in favor for closing the public hearing, please say aye, starting with Jeff Bryant,
aye.
Emily Winter,
Hold on.
Okay, aye.
all right, and Bill Payne,
Aye.
Rebecca, I'm an aye as well.
Do you want to wait so that we can draft the conditions, or unless you're comfortable with what you would want the special conditions to be on this project, we can state them now if you're
If
comfortable.
possible, I wouldn't mind waiting just so we can write them out. I've been kind of trying to jot them down, but it might be better if we actually write them down rather than me trying to kind of spout them off as I'm trying to close it out.
Mhm.
If that is, well, I was gonna say, we've already closed.
Yeah.
if that's all right with the applicants, basically what we're saying is we'll end up voting on this next meeting. We don't really have any additional questions. It'll just give us a chance to write out everything that was kind of discussed this evening. The only thing that really changes with that is it's just going to take 2 weeks before you can get it. But is that going to be any kind of problem?
I would defer to Jim on that, Jim.
Yeah, no.
Okay. All right. In that case, we will, well, we've already closed it. We will go ahead and vote on it next meeting. We'll just get it all written up and vote on it next meeting. Thank you for coming in tonight, and thank you for answering all of our questions.
Thank you for taking the time to review our proposal.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Nice meeting.
All right, Rebecca, are you ready?
I am.
All right.
Bear with me. Okay.
All right.
One moment.
Take your time. Actually, as you pull that up, I'm just going to open the hearing.
Yep.
So the Bolton Conservation Commission will now open a public hearing regarding a notice of intent of applicability under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, the Wetlands Protection Act and Riverfront Act, and under the Bolton Wetland Bylaw, Chapter 233, regarding the proposed construction of 3 single-family homes, widening and paving an existing gravel driveway, all of these to be located on Century Mill Road, map 3.D, parcel 75.
So we have the applicant and their representative. The applicant, or I believe in their representative, I believe it is Kyle McDonald and Scott Goddard, which I believe I unmuted, but if you do not want to represent or speak at this time, that's fine to remain muted.
Oh, that's fine. This is Scott Goddard. So yeah, Kyle is going to present tonight.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
All right, we good to go?
Yep, you can provide the summary when you're ready.
Awesome, thank you for the introduction. Would it be possible for me to share my screen? That way I can kind of point to things.
So I would have to allow you to host, and I'm not supposed to do that. So I can point to things to the best of my ability if you want to direct me through the screen.
If I just click this share screen button, nothing will happen, I guess. Is that what you'd have to
I don't know.
Permission? Can I try?
Sure.
It denied me. Oh,
Yeah,
well.
I have nothing on this end either. Okay, so
well.
go ahead.
I
Let's
tried.
start. Yep.
All right. So thank you for the introduction. As stated, what we're proposing to do is construct 3 single-family homes, as well as paving and slightly widening an existing gravel driveway on a property at Century Mill Road. First thing I'll do is kind of walk you through the existing conditions of the lot. So it's a mainly forested lot. The only existing structures on the lot are that gravel driveway, which currently serves 21 Century Mill Road, which is up in the left-hand corner there, as well as there's a small shed that's kind of located on the property line of lot 2 and 4 in the back there. For resource areas on site, we have bordering vegetated wetland, and then obviously it's 100-foot buffer. Then there's Danforth Brook, which is located on site. You can see in the bottom left corner there, as well as its riverfront area. So once Danforth Brook kind of flows this direction, it turns into a pond, so then we don't carry the riverfront area off of that pond, considering we don't really have any characteristics of a stream in that area. And then we also have bordering land subject to flooding on site, which is determined by the FEMA flood elevation of 310. So you can kind of see it wraps and kind of hugs the driveway on both sides, and then, you know, veers off away from, you know, what we're proposing to do. Now I'll talk about the permitting history of the site a little bit. As I'm sure some of you know, we have put this project in front of you before. So back in, what was it, September of 2017, we filed an ANRAD, and then in November of 2017, an ORAD was issued, which confirmed the resources that you see on this plan. And then in September of 2018, we filed separate NOI filings for lot 3, lot 4, and the driveway, and then filed an RDA for lot 2. And then about a year later, in October of 2019, all of those projects were denied. So now what we've done is we carefully looked through the denial documents and the reason that you guys denied that. And I think what we've done is put together a more thoughtful project that addressed some of your concerns, which I'll now go through. There was what I saw as 4 main reasons why we were denied. The first being that the project, in your opinion, should be treated as a whole rather than, each house in the driveway being filed separately. So as you can see, we have, respected that request, and we are filing this notice of intent for all 3 houses as well as the driveway as a single notice of intent. The next thing that was brought up was the lack of mitigation, which we've also addressed. So down in the bottom kind of center part of the screen, you can see a hatched in area there. So that is going to be a proposed bordering land subject to flooding restoration area. That's kind of a historic, really old fill pile that what we're going to do there is we're proposing to grade that down to the flood elevation and do some nice native plantings in there to restore that area and really add some flood storage on site. The other form of mitigation that we have is when we're paving this driveway, we're going to use pervious technology. So what we'll do is we'll take in, the existing gravel driveway, which has the potential to produce a significant amount of runoff, and, pave that using pervious technologies, which will really enhance the stormwater management of the area. The third issue that was brought up was the potential for some alternatives that might have less impact. There are 2 key points that I want to point out here, and that is on lot 3, you can see that the house is located entirely outside of the buffer zone, whereas the old filing that we submitted to you originally had that house partially located within the buffer zone. So we kind of pulled that out of the buffer zone as a way to minimize the impact in that area. And the other point I wanted to mention was up in lot 4 by the septic system. We originally showed some grading within the bordering land subject to flooding there, and now we're replacing that with a retaining wall, right before we get into the bordering land subject to flooding, so we don't have to go in there and lose any flood storage from any grading that we proposed. And then the fourth thing that was brought up was there was concern that there was some excavation that took place in 2016, and there was a question of whether or not that may have occurred in any sort of resource area. So we kind of dove into that a little bit, and we determined that it wasn't within any of the resource areas or buffer zones that are shown in the ORAD. So we don't believe that there was any sort of violation that occurred with that. So we just wanted to address that we did look into it, and that we don't think that any issues are present from that. So now I'll kind of dive into each lot individually, just kind of give a description of what we're doing there. So in lot 2, as you can see, the proposed house, all of the site clearing, prep, grading and stuff is totally outside of the buffer zone there. The only impact that we have in buffer zone there is the shed that's going to be moved over into lot 4. So that's pretty minimal there. Then down in lot 3, as I stated earlier, the house itself is located totally outside of the buffer zone, as well as the septic system and most of the site prep and grading for it. We do have a little bit of site prep and grading in there within the buffer zone. And then as you can see, there is a proposed well that is shown within the buffer zone as well as bordering land subject to flooding. But to do that, all we're going to do is get in there, clear some vegetation, drill the well, back out. We can seed the area and, restore it to what it looked like before. We just need to get in there to get the well in. And the reason the well's over there is to create separation from the proposed leach field. And then up on lot 4, that's basically the exact same situation where we've shrunk it down to have most of the site prep and grading outside of the buffer zone. The house itself's totally outside of the buffer zone, but we do have, the well that will be located within the bordering land subject to flooding in the buffer zone. But same situation. Once we get out of there, we can kind of naturalize that area. We just need to get in there to, get some separation from the leach field. When it comes to impacts, there was a table that I included within the NOI cover letter. I can just kind of go through because I think it addresses that we are preserving the majority of the resource areas and buffer zone on site. So when it comes to buffer zone, we're only altering 17% of the buffer zone on site, and all of that is located outside of the 25-foot buffer, which you guys I know regulate as part of the resource area. So we did want to make sure that we respect that and kept everything at least 25 feet away from the wetlands. When it comes to the bordering land subject to flooding, we're only altering about 2% of that on site. And like I said, that's just limited to vegetation removal. We're not doing any grading or anything within that. So we're not going to lose any flood storage. We'll actually gain flood storage on site from the mitigation that we're proposing. And then when it comes to riverfront area, if you scroll down and look at the end of the gravel driveway, there's a tiny little corner of it, you know, kind of the top left corner of the dark shaded area that's located within riverfront area. That's the only, you know, impact we're proposing within riverfront area, and it is limited to the footprint of the existing driveway. So we're just paving that. So that's very minimal impact within riverfront area. So I think that's kind of just a general introduction of the project to you guys. And at this point, I'd like to open it up to any questions that you might have.
All right, thank you. First up, do you know, Rebecca, do we have a DEP file number for this one?
We do not. I was muted. Sorry.
Okay. I was going to ask, and I was trying to read through it earlier today, but do you guys know what's the full square footage of resource area to be disturbed in total when you add up all the riverfront, buffer zone, area subject to flooding, all those good things?
I could crunch that number for you. I have like I mentioned, I do have a table. So do you want it individually for each one or all put together?
All put together would be great, because we're looking at this as one project now, right?
Yep.
So yeah, a full for the project.
Okay, so yeah, the full project. So the buffer zone to BVW, we are proposing to work in about 27,947 square feet. And that's compared to a total amount of buffer zone on site of nearly 165,000 square feet. And like I said, 0 square feet of work within 25 feet of any BVW on site. For bordering land subject to flooding, we're proposing to work in about 2,322 square feet compared to 115,432 square feet on site. And then for riverfront area, we're proposing to work in 307 square feet compared to a total of 32,382 square feet.
Could you, Kyle, just for reference to that, what are you using for your total area? You're using, just again, clarification for the record, it's the entirety of lot 2, lot 3, and lot 4 together, not inclusive of what is now the residents of 21 Century Mill Road. Is that correct?
Correct, because that is now a separate lot of record. So yeah,
Okay.
It's just our lot 2, 3, and 4, which is currently that one lot.
Okay. Thank you.
And I'm curious, the proposed paving of the driveway, is it the full driveway or just half the driveway?
So it's just shown to there, you know, the
Yep.
part where kind of it'll break off, only the point where it'll need to serve the lot 2, 3, and 4, because after that it wouldn't be considered a common driveway anymore. And the reason that we are paving and widening it is to adhere to the zoning bylaw requirements for common driveways, which have a minimum width of 12 feet, and they have requirements for the turnarounds and stuff that we have shown on there.
All right. Those are my initial questions. I'm just curious if any members of the commission have any other initial questions or thoughts. All right. Rebecca, do you have any other additional thoughts or questions?
Let me see.
Rebecca, where's the driveway to the house on lot 3?
It's right at the bottom,
Right here.
Right there?
pretty short.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw Rebecca, but Jim, I believe the butter question. Okay, you did see that.
So here's the driveway, Jack.
Okay.
With the turnaround. I guess one point of clarification, Kyle, as you were giving the description, maybe I misheard you, but I thought you were saying you were moving the shed to lot 2, and here it actually says the opposite.
No, maybe I misspoke. What I meant to say, if I did misspeak, was that we're moving it from, partially within both lots to be entirely within lot 4.
Okay, thank you for that.
Yep.
Can I ask just one more question on the driveways to the houses? Is it going to be the same material they're using for the existing driveway?
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't believe that it will be. I think those will just be your standard, regular blacktop driveways.
Okay. So I think it may be beneficial to either make those pervious, or the commission may choose to request that you look at that as a pervious surface or a gravel driveway versus a paved driveway, unless you have some sort of stormwater structures to deal with the water that's coming off of the driveway. But that would then increase your disturbance area again, which I don't think that you want. My other question is regarding, actually, we're over time here. I think it would be beneficial for the commission to look at other areas of potential mitigation, specifically the areas that were excavated, maybe using those areas as mitigation areas as well, and also seeing if there's any way you can move. You've already moved quite a bit of it outside of jurisdictional areas, but where you're disturbing this area, it's very close to this bordering vegetated wetland. And that's why I'm pointing out those other areas where it may provide a similar benefit in terms of flood storage and flood hazard areas or storage areas. But those are just my comments. I know we've run out of time here, though. I do know, Brian, do you have any other comments? I know we do have some people from the...
I was going to say, I want to make sure, I know we're up against time tap, but I want to make sure we open up for initial public comments.
Sure.
And just so everybody knows, seeing how we don't have a DEP file number, it's nothing we can vote on this evening. We're going to have to continue it. So if there's more you want to know, or if you have a lot more questions, we're probably going to have to continue this. We can't actually close it without the DEP file number. So that said, and again, we are up against time, I'd love to open it up if public members of the public have initial questions or thoughts or anything they'd like to get out.
Okay, so Jim, I've just unmuted you. I saw you had a question here.
Hi, Rebecca. Thank you. So just definition of common driveway. So why does that driveway not go all the way up to my lot 1 and lot 2?
Right here.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I guess the reasoning for that would be, once we pass lot 2 here, once we pass where the driveway pulls off for, to get to lot 2 and lot 4, at that point, the driveway would only be, servicing the one house. So it wouldn't really be considered common at that point. It's kind of the same reason why, each individual driveway that leads to each house isn't considered part of the common driveway at that point. So that was our logic behind that.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, but that doesn't fit my definition of common, right? Common is everyone, right? That's what that means. But
well,
so that may just one point of clarification. When the public, and this is just general, not even specific to this item, when the chair is asking for public comment, if you can address your comment to the board, and then the board, typically the chair, will then redirect it if necessary. It sounds like that is more of a zoning question, but Jim, is there anything that concerns you related to that driveway, specific to maybe runoff or drainage or items that would be relevant to our jurisdiction, seeing as it is within the 200-foot riverfront area?
Yes, a lot troubles me, Rebecca. This is the first time I've seen this, so if I could get a copy of this, I'd appreciate it, and I can digest it a little bit and then get back to you. Yeah,
Sure.
appreciate
So
it.
it is actually available on the town website under current projects. When you're on the
Okay.
town website's homepage, under current projects, under conservation, there's a hyperlink under the Century Mill Road project.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
Other initial comments from the public? Okay.
I think I'm sorry, Richard. I think Richard had a question. Richard.
Okay,
I'll
let
put you on the
me,
spot
oh,
here.
I see. Hold on, let me unmute you, Richard. No, I can't hear you.
How about now?
Yep,
Okay, good. I'm a little new to this Zoom.
that's okay.
So last year, when we were talking about this, the fact that there was substantial amounts of excavation done on lots 2 and 4 without any discussion with the Conservation Commission beforehand. What is your position on that at this point in time with regard to furthering this, this project along?
I guess I don't fully understand the question because I did address that in my summary of the project, and I think it's our understanding that that excavation didn't occur within a resource area. So I guess the need to notify the commission wasn't really a top priority of the property owner at the time. But I mean it's something that we will certainly are okay with discussing further with you to kind of justify why we believe that no violation occurred with that excavation.
Okay. I will address the board. It's my understanding that any kind of excavation, particularly in an area that was a suspected vernal pool, something that was on all kinds of, Conservation Commission wetlands kind of maps for the town, that, we're not talking about 10 feet of excavation. We're talking substantial amounts of excavation. Guys were working back in there for what seemed to me to be a couple of weeks. The person that, is at least as I understand it, who's financially to gain from this project is Scott Goddard. He's a wetlands person. Of all people, he should have known that he should have come before the board, the Conservation Commission board, and said, hey, can you come out and take a look at this? But that didn't happen. I mean, all this excavation work was done, and we sat through a year's worth of Conservation Commission hearings before it came out that Scott Goddard, did stand to financially gain from this project. So, the board has to have a position on this, I would think.
Yep. So we don't have a DEP number, so we're going to be,
Okay.
It sounds like anyways, the commission is going to be continuing the public hearing, but I believe the commission will most likely be touching upon that. And as you are aware, because of the documentation that was issued along with the denial last time, we were all there during the last permitting process. Yes, the commission is aware of that, but the applicant has tried to provide some of the answers to those questions. So that will be certainly considered on both sides, both the activity that occurred and the new information related to pulling things outside of the jurisdictional area or trying to.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I'm not sure that fully answers your
Yeah.
question. it is hard to say that the board cannot, well, I shouldn't say cannot. It's hard for the board to have an official position on anything because we are individual voting members of the board. We try to take a lot of things into consideration when we're discussing something and voting on something. Some things we legally can consider, some things we legally can't consider. But we can, the history of a project, the history of an area, we know questions, concerns, problems that came up around this area last time. We're aware of how environmentally sensitive this area is. I think that would all play into I can only speak for me as an individual, but I think all that would play into my decision and some of the questions I'll be asking, some of the things I'll be looking for as this filing goes forward.
Okay, I just became a little bit concerned that, we're talking about paving materials for the individual driveways, not the common driveway. I'm thinking, whoa, we're getting way ahead of ourselves here. So it seemed to me. I would like to hear all of these things. Much of what we, talked about a year ago, I'd like to hear these things hashed out and come to some sort of, understanding about this. I guess that's it for my questions for right now. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Other members of the public looking to make comment on this evening?
Again, you can utilize the raise hand function or the chat function as well. And that looks like that's all we have.
Okay. Then with the applicant's permission, I'm just saying we're running into a time crunch tonight. We actually have a very full schedule tonight. We'd like to continue this to the next meeting if possible, because that will give us a chance to at least get that DEP file number in. I should ask also, I remember this site pretty well. I don't know if there's any members of the commission that would like another site visit or have a chance to go out and take a look and see how it stands now. I'm trying to think if there were any new members since last time, or if there are anybody who didn't get a chance to get out there last time. Would it be possible to try to schedule a site visit before next meeting?
Be fine with me, by the way.
I would like to go also.
Okay.
I'd like to go back out too. I think it's been a year since we were out there.
I agree.
I remember the site, but it would be nice to just see what the condition of it is right now.
Yeah. So that's it. Are the applicants okay if we continue until our next meeting?
Yep, that is perfectly fine.
All right. Rebecca, our next meeting is August 7th?
October.
I'm sorry. October. Yeah. Is it the 12th?
Nope, the 6th.
Oh, yeah, that's all right. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So it will be October 6th. I would say 7:15 p.m.
7:15.
And additionally, just to note, if we have a quorum present at a site visit, I do need to advertise 48 hours in advance. So when I send out tomorrow, when I send out a availability request to the commission, it would be beneficial if you can get back to me as soon as possible, so I can relay that to the property owner, and then we can advertise if necessary if there will be a quorum present.
Okay. And we'll try to get back to you right away when I see it.
Thank you.
Hoping everybody will. All right. In that case, I would like to make a motion that we continue the open public, the public hearing for Century Mill Road map 3D parcel 75 to our next public meeting, October 6th, 2020 at 7:15 p.m. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor, starting with Jeff, Bryant.
Aye.
Emily Winter.
Aye.
Bill Payne.
Aye.
All right. I'm an aye as well. All right. We will see you guys next meeting. All right. Rebecca, are you ready for me to continue?
Yes, I am ready.
Okay, you're fine. All right, so the Bolton Conservation Commission will now open a public hearing regarding a request for a determination of applicability under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and under the Bolton Wetland Bylaw, Chapter 233, regarding 933 Main Street, proposed landscape repairs and improvements. Do we have someone here? Is the applicant or a representative for the applicant here this evening?
They are. Bear with me for a moment and I will
Sure.
unmute them. Paul, is there anyone with you this evening?
Just me.
Okay. So if you would like to provide a brief summary, I know we're out on site on September 9th, I believe. This is the property off of Main Street where we looked at the front of the property for some of the work, and then we walked to the rear of the property, which was in very close proximity to Great Brook, or Still River, excuse me.
So my name is Paul Finger, and I actually made a brief presentation to you a matter of, I think, 4 weeks ago regarding this particular project, and we're not able to get onto the agenda at the last meeting. So in this particular case, it's a landscape project. The landscape project, as we walked it, if we need to show any plans, I'm sure you have the plans, but why don't I just make it very brief and then we can determine if there are questions. So it's a landscape. It involved in the front of the building, in the front of the residence, basically replacement of foundation plantings, relocation of a Japanese red maple, and reconstruction of the sidewalk. There was no appreciable change in amount of impervious material, and instead of brick pavers, they're concrete pavers. So that was that project. We actually took a look on the side of the property. The proposal is to do some landscaping there. We're going to be terracing it. That way basically reduces the slope, which reduces the amount of erosive capability. We've already have, in fact, a erosion control in place, which you were able to see. There's no work being done anywhere in close proximity to the BVW or the river, the stream. But we do recognize that we are within basically the riverfront area. So there is, we believe, as I've made the case that the project is an exempt project underneath the Wetlands Protection Act. And I think that there's enough language within the bylaw to also indicate that it should be considered as exempt.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I can start. And initially, I didn't have really any problems with the what you were proposing for the front of the house. I can see, I think Emily had brought up on site that, basically just to keep the materials, stockpiling materials or construction materials outside the buffer zone, if ever, as to the extent possible. The terracing that you were proposing down the side of the house, I think will actually help with runoff and erosion. My biggest concern on the property was just some of the areas where it had really, that lawn had been extended back to almost to the point where it was touching Great Brook. And I think I would like to see, and me personally, we'll get others' thoughts, just as by way of mitigation for some of the work you're doing in the buffer zone to allow some of those areas to basically to renaturalize, regrow, and remove them from the surface of the lawn. I wish I had a map in front of me. It's, not the side of the lawn that you were terracing, but the other side, it basically went right up to the brook. It was maybe a half a foot between where the lawn ended and where the brook was. And I think I'd like to see that patch maybe come in a good 5-10 feet from the brook at least, and be allowed to renaturalize and to be taken out of lawn service, basically.
Okay, in response to that, I am not aware of any area that the rear lawn is right against the brook itself. It is directly adjacent to the BVW, which is bordering the brook. So that I agree. And in fact, there's encroachment of plant material, and due to, the hydrology down there, I'm sure that basically they will continue to thrive. As far as, in my opinion, this is an exempt project. It's a landscape project. There's not a lot of lawn in the back there, but aesthetically, you have a terrace of lawn, you have a stone wall, and you have another terrace. And that would actually change the way this house has been since the day that it was constructed. There's the area in the back that you were referring to. Thank you, Rebecca.
Yep. So I would agree with Brian, and I appreciate you providing that summary. And I also appreciate in terms of the aesthetic and what was allowed before. However, I think what Brian's talking about is a few feet. I don't think he's talking about all the way to this stone wall here. If you can see my cursor, I believe what he's referring to is, oh, I apologize. This area in here where I explicitly pointed out while on site, I was concerned with it because it's a bare area. I know they have some landscaping here. So whether it's, you know, it's 3 feet or not in terms of what's given up in the lawn area, or 2 feet, I think that's feasible since you're already doing landscaping work. And although it may be seen as maintaining, and it may be benefiting actually, because we did see a little bit of erosion at the top of the slope here, you are adding some material and some disturbance, which again, notably will hopefully improve that area. But I think it may be beneficial to also improve this area since you have the access to the well, which is adjacent to the bank of the stream. And I think it's that give and take that the commission's looking for. Again, not significant, but I believe that's what Brian's touching upon, is nothing egregious, but something that will help supplement and allow for filtration as the water comes off the lawn there.
Okay, I understand your request. And we're not actually talking about anything egregious because the property owner didn't do anything egregious.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
This area was this way from the day that the house was built. And as we all know, the wetland, basically there are changes within wetland boundaries. So the wetlands may be encroaching closer to the house. And in fact, we have to acknowledge that, and at the time it was built, there was nothing that precluded them from doing that. I think what you're asking for, if you're saying, can we do some landscaping down in the area at the very end of the yard where basically there's no vegetation down there right now, to be able to put a couple of viburnum or something else like that might be able to provide a little bit denser cover in that area. I think that we could probably work something out. But again, I mean, I understand the benefits of trying to protect and preserve, you know, obviously the natural resources, and basically all BVW is important, the brook is important. But it's a little bit of a stretch because this is a landscape project. If we didn't do anything, then basically I believe that this is the terracing is actually an improvement. As I've heard everybody say, that you can see the erosion coming down there, and it's actually coming down from Mass Highway because there's no drainage in that particular area. But, you know, what they're doing is they're trying to address that and to reduce the amount of erosion going there. So I would ask, you know, basically not to be as tough in this particular position. And again, if we can agree on maybe some landscaping in that little bare area, I'm sure we can get them to agree to that.
Yeah, and to be clear, that's really all I was looking for, not to lose that bottom terrace of yard. Again, I think when we were on site, we looked at where the well is and said, obviously you're going to need access back to the well. The yard goes back to the well, but it was more that back corner, and I wish I could think, is that the northeastern corner? I'm trying to figure out where. But you know, it was 6 or 7 square yards back there, basically right by where it goes right up to the stream almost, and it wasn't even like you said, just allowing it to naturalize, not even big expensive plantings, anything like that. You know, any native plantings that are good for buffer zone that can be just planted there and just left alone, just not mowed again. And again, just that relatively small area. And you know, as far as we're tasked with mitigating that. If we allow small amounts of work to be done in the buffer zone, that's fine, but we're asked to mitigate wherever possible. Any other questions from commission members? Questions, comments, concerns initially?
You guys are working there already, right?
We actually did the landscaping in the front of the building because that was actually a question that was raised if there was concerns,
Yep.
due to the lateness of the season.
All right. Rebecca, do you have any additional thoughts, comments, questions? Excuse me.
I don't, aside from just ensuring that, or just a reminder, if the commission wishes to add what we just talked about in terms of mitigation, in terms of allowing the area to revegetate, just include that note within the determination if the commission is closing this evening.
Are there any members of the public here to comment on this or question this evening?
I see none.
All right. And again, I'll put any commission members have any additional comments, questions, any reason you think we shouldn't close? All right. In that case, I'm going to make a motion that we close the public hearing for 933 Main Street.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, starting with Jeff,
Aye.
Emily,
Aye.
Bill.
Aye.
All right, and I'm an aye as well.
Great.
All right, Rebecca, -3 if I'm going to put small conditions in.
Yep.
All right. I'd like to make a motion that we have a negative, that we have the board, the commission finds a -3 determination for the request for determination of applicability for 933 Main Street with the following additional condition. That the patch of land and Rebecca, if you could help me with the
Northwest.
thank you, the northwest corner of the property as it abuts Still River, that section be either seeded with a natural seed mix, a native seed mix, or have native plantings placed in and be allowed to renaturalize and no longer be maintained as existing lawn. Rebecca, does that wording cover what we were looking to do? Are there additional?
Do you want to specify a footage off of the?
Yeah.
Either you can use the edge of the stream or the edge of lawn, the existing edge of lawn.
If we could do the off the, say, 6 feet off the, or 5 feet off the edge of existing lawn.
Okay.
Well,
in the northwestern corner.
That takes a good portion of it. Why don't we do this? We'd be agreeable to meeting with a designee of the commission and we'll paint out the edge of the lawn.
I think that would be fine. I mean, that would probably make it clear for everyone and make it a lot easier. If you were comfortable doing that, I am fine.
People can be reasonable.
Yeah, no, I think we can all, I would hope we can all be reasonable. And it's fine. We're comfortable just not making a motion on this evening. And we can just go ahead and close it out next meeting.
No, we want to do the work.
Yeah.
So he would like a determination. So what he's asking is to add a condition that it be approved.
Yeah.
That the area to be revegetated be approved prior to initiation of work, basically.
Yes.
So I think it's beneficial if we state during this meeting the distance from either the stream or the lawn, or is it the oak tree? Is it an oak tree in the corner there?
So the only thing, again, not to play landscape architect, which I am, I can, it's not you may not want to have a straight line. I mean, it's a naturalized area. So
Yep.
that's what I'm just saying is that if in fact we have a commissioner who will meet with us on site, we'll paint out the edge of the lawn. You can say, let's add a little bit more in this particular area. This area is fine. And, you know, that way, basically, we accomplish the same thing. We have the design, the aesthetics, as well as the commission involved in that. So I think that's the balance.
Okay, what if the commission were to say within a certain footage from the stream, or whether it be the oak tree or the edge of lawn, because then that's not defining the straight line, that's allowing you a work area. And within that work area, it may vary.
You
Does
want to
that
say
make sense?
18 feet?
So it would be contingent upon and agreed upon, contingent upon, yeah, I would say I wouldn't be, yeah, so it would be,
So what is, this is 16 feet from the stream to the
From the
lawn.
stream, right.
And Brian, you wanted to go how many feet?
No. I was looking
well, I
at
was,
16 feet. It depends on whether you're measuring it from the stream or you're measuring it from the wall. And the stream obviously is not a straight line.
right. I mean,
Right, well, that's again why I was encouraging to the stream, because then it allows you to work with your profession as an landscape architect.
yeah, and I was basically looking at that back corner, you know, how many
Right.
feet in from the edge of lawn. And I understand if we're trying to do a straight line across, you know, we can do it that way. But for me, it was more just filling in that northwest corner.
Yeah,
I think that
where
we
it's
agreed
really
to do
bare and
that.
going down.
Yeah.
Because I know as you come across the other side, again, you run into your well, and I want to make sure you have it, you know, lawned all the way down to the well, and you have access to the well.
So we're agreeing to landscape that area.
Yes. Well, we're
Yeah, be
agreeing to
naturalizing.
allowing that area to revegetate. Or if the commission wants, they could say plant native vegetation there in terms of the viburnum that you suggested. But I think the point is to not be significantly maintaining that area and allowing it to revegetate, because you're significantly maintaining the
Agreed.
other areas and you still have access down to the well.
So again, if we're talking about the area all the way in the northwest corner, no
Yep.
problem. We'll allow it to vegetate. If we want to enhance it by using some sort of, like viburnum has a nice flower to it, if we can actually do that. So that's fine. And then I would say on behalf of our clients that we would be able to commit to that.
Okay.
All right.
So a draft, Brian, may be the condition that the land in the far northwest corner that is currently bare and abutting Still River tributary is to be no longer maintained, or you could say is to be allowed to revegetate or to be enhanced with native species. Some sort of that mixture.
Oh boy, let's see if I can get this in. All right, so I'd like to make a motion that we have a -3 determination for the request for determination of applicability for 933 Main Street, with the following condition: that a section of land in the far northwest corner that is currently bare and abutting the Still River tributary be allowed to either revegetate or be enhanced with native plantings, and no longer be maintained as lawn.
Got it.
All right. Do I hear a second on that motion?
Second.
All right. All those in favor, starting with Jeff,
Aye.
Emily,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well, Rebecca.
Great. Thank you,
Very
Paul.
much.
Yeah,
Yep.
thank you.
Great.
Okay.
Let me know, Rebecca, you ready to move along?
Yes.
Okay. So the Bolton Conservation Commission will now open a public hearing regarding a request for determination of applicability under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and under the Bolton Wetland Bylaw, Chapter 233, regarding Bear Hill Road, map 7C, parcel 55, a proposed single-family home, septic, and well. Rebecca, is the applicant with us tonight, or do we have a rep?
We
Right here.
do have an applicant and he is present. Bob, you want to give a brief summary?
Yeah, I do. I'd like to say I believe that Eileen Dixon is on the line as well. She's
Okay,
the
do you
actual owner.
know, is she on a phone number?
Yeah, I believe that's the 239 number.
Okay, and I apologize, that was grammatically incorrect. So I've asked to unmute her, so she should be coming in as well. But if you'd like to start giving your summary in the meantime.
Good evening. This is a project that I just recently was involved in. Brian, you may remember this. This is an oldie but goodie, I guess. Eileen worked with Dusham and Dillis back 10, 12, 15 years ago and got this approved. Basically, the downturn in the market, nobody bought it. It's been listed for a while. I purchased it, or I have put it under agreement. The septic system is valid. What we're looking for is just, this was something that was approved by your board back when. Nothing has changed. We just look for a revalidation of determination.
This is before my time, Bob. Unfortunately, I was like, this one.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I know. It feels like I've been doing this forever, but it's only been like 10 years. Not even. Lori might remember this one. Yeah, I'm curious to hear anything other details on the project, but this is one I think we'd like to do a site visit for, because it's just not striking a chord with me as to exactly where this is on Bear Hill.
I believe it's number 27. It's a very steep lot. The septic is not in your jurisdiction. The only thing that was in your jurisdiction was there was an interceptor pipe somewhere, and the previous approval, they had said, yeah, as long as you took it out by hand, there was no issue. Nothing's changed, except it's probably more vegetated or more wooded. And I don't know if Eileen can chime in. I don't see her coming in.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not.
Yeah.
Allowing her.
She'd be able to give you a lot more information on this.
Where's the wet? I'm sorry, I cannot discern this plan. Where's the?
I can barely see it too.
One moment, I think it's not the updated plans that you sent me, Bob. I apologize. I just noticed that.
And Bob, what is that pipe you were saying? What is that? An interceptor?
Never heard of it. Okay, but apparently the Board of Health wanted it removed.
Hi, Eileen.
So it was a pipe that was in the ground
Yes.
previously. Got it.
There's something called an interceptor pipe. I don't know what it is.
Hello.
Eileen.
This is Eileen.
Hi.
Yes, okay, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. The interceptor pipe actually was put in years and years and years ago, probably actually before I bought it, 35 years ago, because they were looking in the wrong area for a septic system. And so it's well overgrown. That was the only condition from the Conservation Commission, was to be filled in, basically capped in one end and capped on the other. It's probably filled in now with vegetation. But when I was a single mother of 4 children, and I just put it on the back burner for a long time. And when I decided that, yeah, I'm ready now and I can afford to engineer it, I had Ducharme and Dillis come up to the front of the lot, which is well out of the buffer zone area. It's the work that's to be done is far, far away from even where the interceptor drain is. That was the only thing that was conditional upon the permit that was issued, actually. And my septic permit, which is dated May 28th of 2019. So it's an old part of what they tried to do 35 years ago, if you can believe it. So that's it's outside the buffer zone. Any work I need done now.
Thank you. So Emily, just as you asked, so this is the wetland or the edge of BBW here.
Okay, I see it.
So the 100-foot sort of scoops right below the proposed retaining wall and some grading there. So
that's for the reserve. That is for the reserve
correct.
area, right?
Yep.
And then the septic is above that, correct? And there's been no clearing, no digging, nothing for a long time. Not since we had since Ducharme and Dillis actually found the right perk test way in the front of the lot for the septic.
Okay.
It actually looks like the 100-foot buffer is at the end of that pipe. It's not even up in the regraded area.
Here, yep.
Absolutely not. No, it's way down. I have 400 feet of depth basically in that lot. It's almost 3 inches.
Okay.
We do, and I apologize, I need to locate that and I can send it to you. We did get a revised plan showing that. In the meantime, though, what was previously conditioned was the work was allowed with 3 conditions, one being the work approved in this determination of applicability is limited to the removal of the exposed portion of the interceptor drain only. This is approximately a 1.5 square foot area at each end of the pipe. The work shall be done manually without any heavy equipment entering the area. Condition number 2, the erosion control line shall be adjusted so the line does not extend around the interceptor drain outlets since the work is not being permitted in this determination. The line will run as shown on the site plan dated December 16, 2005, but an added row of hay bales shall be placed on top of the proposed hay bale line and shall continue straight across the interceptor line, which is what they have shown in this plan in the revised that they sent me. Condition 3, in the event that any dewatering activity is required for the installation of the proposed retaining wall or sewage disposal system, a dewatering sack or other device shall be used to contain sediments. No sediment shall be permitted beyond the erosion control line. So those were the 3 conditions that were allowed. For the work related to the removal of an existing interceptor drain and the regrading and stabilization of the disturbed areas with vegetation. I got it, Brian. I apologize. There you go.
So again, what I think we're asking for is for you to allow this to go ahead as it was approved in 2005, I guess it was.
With the new conditions on that. Hello?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Yeah. With the conditions as just stated. I don't know who stated them.
Rebecca.
Rebecca? Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I believe Brian, our chair, had a comment, but
No, I was just gonna. I think you explained it well, anyways. But that was my understanding. So it was originally conditioned in the past. It just basically ran out. We need to recondition or not, depending.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
That said, like for me, and I'll open up to the rest of the commission. I just like to get out there if possible on a site visit to see that everything is still as they saw it back in the day, but it seems like they had conditioned it well. And I wouldn't be opposed initially to going with what was in the original notice, but I'd just like a chance to get out there and make sure everything is still as it was at the time, or close to.
So
Great.
just to clarify, all that's happening is digging up the end of the pipe, capping it, and then fill goes back in it, right? Just putting a cap on the end.
Right.
Correct.
1.5 square feet on each end.
Yeah.
As big as your computer.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally don't have any questions. I mean, as long as the erosion control's there, it's being done by hand.
I appreciate that.
Any other thoughts, comments? Rebecca, do you have any additional thoughts, comments?
No.
All right. Is there anybody here from the public to comment on this evening?
Again, if you would like to comment, please use your chat function or the raise hand function, and I will get to you. I am seeing none, though.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep.
Even with the comments, I do agree, Brian, it would be nice just to get out and see. I would just like to see what the vegetation is in that area and whether we want a condition that it just renaturalizes, or I don't know if it's mowed lawn or what, but I think
It's thick woods.
Oh, it's all wooded there.
It's all wooded.
it's-
It's all the way down the bottom of a hill.
So just to
Okay.
renaturalize.
That's probably 100-foot elevation, maybe not 100, but 70 feet elevation change.
Yeah.
So
Is this
even
Bob?
where-
Is this
to
Bob?
look at it, even if you look at it where it is, okay, it's from where we have the wall going on, it's still down the hill.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Way down, probably 200 feet down. Anyway.
All right.
So one of the reasons that we were hoping to get this just reapproved is we're getting into winter. It'll be 2 more weeks, okay? And, you know, we're just trying to get this in the ground. So I guess.
Yeah, no, I understand, Bob. It's just, again, like for me, and you know, I'll pull the commission too. It's a site I haven't been out to. I'm not familiar with. It looks like it's pretty cut and dried and easy. But I just feel remiss if I don't at least put eyes on what I'm agreeing to. And that maybe that's just me, but I'd like to at least take a look at the project in person. I don't have any initial questions. I think it's simply going to be re-upping what was already agreed to. I'd just like to take a look at it first.
I agree, Brian. I'd like to take a look.
And our next meeting is in a week. So we're not losing 2 weeks. It's
Right.
next Tuesday.
Oh, good. Okay, great.
So
Okay, so we have an approval conditional upon inspection by 2 of the board members. Am I
Nope.
correct?
Yeah.
No, I think you're a little ahead of the game here. It seems as though the commission would like to schedule a site visit, and upon,
Okay.
it doesn't seem that they have any outstanding questions aside from that site visit. So then at
Okay.
the next meeting, they would then be able to take a vote and further discuss any questions that they have.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right. So that said, would you be okay if we continue this until our next meeting? It would be October 6th.
Sure.
Okay. Rebecca, what's
When
my
is
next?
the-
Go ahead.
When is the next meeting? When is the next meeting?
October 6th, which is next Tuesday.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Okay.
So we have availability, Brian.
Yep.
At 7:45 or 7:30, excuse me.
7:30. Okay. All right, in that case, I would like to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for Bear Hill Road map 7.c parcel 55 till our next public meeting, Tuesday, October 6th, 2020 at 7:30 p.m.
Thank
Second.
you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Starting with Jeff,
Aye.
Emily,
Aye.
Bill,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well, Rebecca.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Thank you all. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Rebecca, are you good if I continue?
Yes.
All right. So next up, the Bolton Conservation Commission will now open a public hearing regarding a request for determination of applicability under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and under the Bolton Wetland Bylaw, Chapter 233, regarding 79 Nashaway Road, a proposed removal of vegetation and adding fill to gravel and minimal grading in the side yard of an existing single-family home. Do we have someone here tonight, the applicant or someone representing them?
I am not seeing anyone present.
Okay.
And I also have not been out to the site, so I'm unfamiliar with the project in terms of the actual property in itself.
Okay.
What I do know is for this property, and I apologize for not having a visual, the resource areas, there is a lawn area around the single family home. It's an existing single family home. But the resource areas relative to the lot is floodplain, bordering vegetated wetland, buffer, adjacent upland resource area, and riverfront area. This is a lot though that is similar to what we see along Fox Run and Kettle Hole, where there's a significant drop off to the perennial stream, and the lawn area is then above that resource area.
Right. Yeah, and no one here representing them this evening.
No.
Yeah, hard to ask questions.
There's no, they don't have a plan or anything either? Like a site plan? No, okay.
One moment.
It's just, it's hard, I don't,
Possible tree removal can be scary. Yeah, it's a
well, even just the leveling and, you know, so I'm not really knowing where that is in relation to the resource areas is hard to comment on.
Yeah, so I think this would deserve a site visit.
I would tend to agree. And if you have a chance to talk to the applicant, just ask them just to mark out some of those things, you know, trees they might want to remove, if they can stake out the area they're looking to fill, or, you know, just give us some general guidelines so we can figure things out while we're out there.
Yep.
Because my understanding is we'll probably have to close tonight.
Yep. And then vote next time.
Okay. And we won't be able to have a public discussion or ask questions next time. We'll only be able to vote. So just remember, anyone, when if we set up the site visit, remember to ask questions of the applicant while you were there, and if there's anything we would like added, to email Rebecca individually and not discuss as a group. But yeah, that said, I have no real other option but to make a motion to close the public hearing for 79 Nashaway Road. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, starting with Jeff Bryant.
Aye.
Emily Winter.
Aye.
Bill Payne.
He's muted.
Yeah. Good.
Aye.
Thanks.
And I'm an aye as well. Yeah, and that's one, if you can set up a site visit, that would be fantastic.
Yep.
Rebecca, are you good if I continue?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the Bolton Conservation Commission will now open or continue a public hearing regarding a notice of intent of applicability under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131 and Section 40, and under the Bolton Wetland Bylaw, Chapter 233, regarding the proposed construction of a pool to be located at 265 Sawyer Road. Rebecca, is there an update on this filing? You're muted. Sorry.
Got it. There is not, aside from, we did receive a request for continuation, as the applicant and their representative are still awaiting the updated plans with the items as requested during the last meeting on September 15th.
Okay. So that said, barring any comments, questions, or issues, I'm going to make a motion that we continue the public hearing for 265 Sawyer Road till our next public meeting, Tuesday, October 6th at 7:45 p.m.
Sure.
Do I hear a second on that?
Second.
All right. All those in favor, Jeff Bryant,
Aye.
Emily Winter,
Aye.
Bill Payne,
Aye.
and I'm an aye as well.
Thank you.
Moving right along. So the Bolton Conservation Commission will now continue a request for a certificate of compliance under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and under the Bolton Wetland Bylaw, Chapter 233, regarding the repair and replacement of a drain with a box culvert and repair to an island and sidewalks to be located at 460 Main Street. Rebecca, do we have an update on this?
Yes, we did receive the updated narrative that described the work that had been completed. It was in fact an after the fact notice of intent. So the work had already been done. The notice of intent was filed afterwards. The only outstanding items, which may be ongoing conditions, is that the logs would be submitted to the Conservation Commission every January on an annual basis. They have since provided those logs to my office, so I have those documentation. I did forward them to you as well. So as far as items that were outstanding to appease the order of conditions, that was inclusive of completing sort of the to-do list that they had to complete. There are a few items that may benefit to be ongoing conditions through the order of condition. I mean, through the certificate of compliance, being the operation maintenance plan and the snow fencing, along with, I apologize, I'm just going to grab the file quickly. Okay. The mowing limitations. So it would be special conditions related to special condition 4, which is talking about the operation maintenance plan, and that it shall be a condition in perpetuity. The mowing requirement of special condition 5. The condition number 6 regarding the snow fence, when it shall be in place prior to winter and when it may be taken up, but it may remain in place. the schedule logs, which is special condition number 8. Special condition 9, the representative shall meet with the commission every 5 years to review operations and maintenance at the facility. Let me see. One of the conditions was substantial vegetation growing before the COC is considered. When I was out on site, and you can see it from the roadway, it is substantially vegetated. The special conditions associated with subsequent owners and others. That the operation maintenance plan be recorded. So let me just go through the numbers for you because that will make it easier.
Yeah.
So it's special condition 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 21. Oh, 20 as well, I apologize. 23, 24, 26. Okay, and that is it. However, I do want to bring our attention to condition 26, which is after the project is constructed, a certified as-built plan stamped by a structural engineer shall be provided to the commission. The as-built shall include, but not be limited to, location of all work in the adjacent upland resource area, culvert, inlet, and outlet elevations, utility placement, restoration areas, and any additional information necessary to aid the commission's evaluation of this project. So I just want to confirm. So I have current condition site plans. I do know Nicole Hayes is present. Do you have a certified as-built plan by any chance?
The only plan that I have is the plan that I believe that you have.
Okay.
I can look into that though. Certified.
Yeah. So I believe that is the as-built, and the reason why is because I have memos from my predecessor stating that everything was in compliance aside from the logs, and then of course recording the documents for the certificate of compliance as we just went through the conditions that would be ongoing. But outside of that, I didn't have any concerns with what was on site.
My only question, I didn't have concerns either. I would understand that we would, in theory, issue a certificate of compliance with the following conditions and keep those other conditions on in perpetuity.
Yep.
The only question I have is with that as-built, usually that's one of the few things we won't give the certificate of compliance until we've received the as-built. and I'd hate to break with that this time, especially with us meeting next week.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like everything was done the way it was supposed to be done. I have no problems really with the certificate of compliance, especially attaching all those ongoing conditions. I'd just like to wait until we get an as-built. I just think we should try to keep that going. Tradition's not the right word, but generally speaking, we won't do the COC unless we have the final as-built.
And can I ask what's the difference between the certified as-built plan and the plan that we provided?
So the plan that you provided, or the plan that I provided to you and then you then provided to me, is that it states it's the current condition for the property in August 25, 2009. So the last update that I have from my predecessor is from 2014. So it would need to have a date that's relative to the work after it's been completed, not when it's being proposed or when it was doing the after the fact filing.
Let me see. I thought we did submit a plan with that. Let me look.
It is possible.
Bolton. Hold on.
But the other note, Brian, that I'm looking at as well, because I agree with you, that's typically what we do. And I would have no problem with the commission still carrying that through, is that it was an after the fact filing. So one would then incur that the work's already been completed. So the current existing condition is the work having been completed and therefore the as-built. However, it states that it's the current condition. It does not state any of proposed work. It talks about the work that is included in the after the fact notice of intent.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, technically that makes sense, right? Because it's after the fact, it basically is an as-built when they submit it.
And
was the as-built a special condition? In other words, if we're doing it contingent upon ongoing special conditions, can I just add that one in there that we're going to get an as-built? Because like you said, technically on this one, we do have an as-built.
So I will. So it is.
So really, it's just changing
It's
the title?
not an ongoing condition. It is the requirement for the certificate of compliance to be considered. It says, excuse me, the as-built plan shall include but not, excuse me. So on condition 36 of the order of conditions, after the project is constructed, a certified as-built plan stamped by a structural engineer shall be provided to the commission. The as-built plan shall include but not be limited to location of all work, adjacent upland resource area, culvert inlet and outlet elevations, utility, which this actually does not have the elevations, it looks like. So that's one thing. Utility placement, restoration areas, and any additional information necessary to aid the commission's evaluation of the project before issuance of a certificate of compliance for the work under this order. So yes, we do need the as-built plan. It does show a slight difference, which is the elevations of the inlet and outlet elevations, unless I'm missing it and it does state this on the plan. Additionally, what the commission may do is reference, if it does state on the plans that are dated 2009, the commission does have the ability to reference these plans in the certificate of compliance to ensure that this is kept as the as-built. But if it doesn't have those elevations, then I don't see how
Yeah, it doesn't.
it meets that requirement.
Are you looking at the plan that we submitted, the existing conditions plan right now, or?
Yes.
Because I can see some elevations on there.
Can you see the elevation of the culvert inlet and outlet structure?
Are we looking at that map? Or did I just have your,
I can share I have it on the screen right now.
Rebecca, we there?
So this is the plan that I have. I apologize, it's not in digital form, but I'm not seeing on this set of plans the elevation that's required on the under the certificate of compliance, which would be the difference, I think, between this plan and the as-built.
Do you have the one that's dated 7/02/20 by Markey and Rubin? Because that's what I have up, and it looks like there's elevations on there. Can I share my screen?
You can try and, oh wait, hold on. I see this. Let's see, in your packets. Can you tell me that date again? 7/02/20?
Yes, yep. By Markey and Rubin.
Yep.
That might have elevations on that. And I thought that was the, we did it as an existing conditions, well, we already discussed that. But if it's really just the title of the plan.
So it needs those elevation points, which I'm not seeing on this one.
Okay.
They have contours on this plan, but there's no. Oh, wait, let me see. This is revised January 13th. No, this one doesn't either. So that's the only item, I guess. Not I guess, but the only outstanding item aside from the commission issuing it. Trying to think. I would turn it back over to the board in terms of how you would like to address it this evening.
I was gonna say, could we issue well, I'm trying to think if we could issue a COC conditionally upon receiving the as-built. But I know we try to get away from those to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Do you think, and I would ask the applicant, do you think if we were to hold off on this decision until next Tuesday, a week from today, that you'd be able to get an as-built? I really think it's the only piece we're kind of missing. I don't think there's anything else that the commission has questions on or won't be able to just put in the final conditions. It's just really getting a hold of that as-built before we sign off usually.
Yep, I can do that.
Okay. In that case, we can basically just take no action, right? This is not an officially opened.
It's not a public hearing.
Yeah. Okay. In that case, I would say to do that, and I'll ask one more time. Are there any members of the commission that have any other questions or additional problems, issues, concerns with this? Okay. So hopefully if we can get that as-built this week, I think we should be able to sign off on it next week. No problem.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you. Okay.
All right. Take care.
Yep, thanks. Bye.
All right. Rebecca, when you have a moment, if you want to update us on the Taggart property.
Sure, it's just basically our typical update. Currently, we are still approaching closing. We are waiting to hear back from the 2 grants that were applied for to assist with offsetting the cost to the town for acquiring the property. So we should hear back by the end of October. I don't believe by next meeting we'll have heard, but yeah.
Did people have a chance to look through the minutes from the September 15th meeting? And if so, does anybody have any questions on them? Any updates, changes, issues? All right. Hearing none. I would like to make a motion that we accept and approve the minutes for our September 15th, 2020 meeting as drafted and submitted.
Second.
All those in favor, Jeff Bryant,
Aye.
Emily Winter,
Aye.
Bill Payne.
He's muted, one moment.
Aye.
All right, and I'm an aye as well. Any mail received this week, Rebecca? Of note?
Not of note. We do have the MACC conference coming up, though, fall conference coming up. It is all virtual. So if you did have interest in taking one or a couple of those workshops, please let me know, because we do budget for the commission to attend these trainings. I think that was it for the man, unless am I missing one? Maybe not. Okay. Regarding conservation property updates, we will be changing the story walk at Fifeshire, I think this week or early next week. So feel free to visit the story walk and look at what new book is out there. Additionally, we did receive some vandalism in terms of removal of trail markers and rearranging of the property at Annie Moore. So I am addressing that matter. In addition to that, we have an invasive species management opportunity at Rattlesnake Conservation Area. You do have to RSVP prior by either emailing or calling my office, the conservation office, but we will be focusing on pulling and manually removing winged euonymus, which is also locally known or commonly known as burning bush. There's a significant amount of it up by the lime kiln area of Rattlesnake Conservation Area. So we will be parking off of 117 on October 17th, starting at 9 a.m. So if you are looking for something to do, productive, and get out on our conservation property, please feel free to volunteer with us.
Thank you. And did you want to say anything about the Miles conservation restriction?
Yes. The Board of Selectmen did vote at their last meeting to accept the conservation restriction on the Miles property. This will assist in memorializing and conserving the passive recreational opportunity from Bear Hill Road into the Vaughan Hills Conservation Area, which is also across the street from the barge connector of Bower Springs. So this will continue in terms of the process, and we are hoping to wrap that up this year.
That is, and that'll be beautiful. When, if that gets through, that's a nice little connection.
Yes.
All right. Any other updates? Any commission members have anything new? Any new business? You want to say their favorite manatee story? All right. All right. Not hearing anything, I would like to go ahead and make a motion that we hereby adjourn the September 29th, 2020 meeting of the Bolton Conservation Commission. Do I hear a second on that one?
Second.
All right. All those in favor, starting with Jeff Bryant.
Aye.
Emily Winter.
Aye.
Bill Payne.
Aye.
And I am an aye as well.
Wonderful.
All right. Again, thank you all. Thank you, Rebecca, and have a lovely week.
Thank you.
See you next
Bye.
week.
All righty.